Chicago Bears 2025, Glory or Apocalypse? The truth management doesn't want you to know. Buckle up, family! Because what Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, and this franchise are cooking up could either kill you or crown you as kings of the NFC North. A season that will smell of blood, money, and NFL gunpowder is coming. And you're in the front row. Ready for hell? First, the free agency war. Chicago needs a Pro Bowl guard to keep their QB from becoming a human pinball. But New England is coming with more Benjamins, and what if Poles chickens out when it's time to open the checkbook? Plan B sounds like caution, but in Chicago, caution is synonymous with defeat. Third round, the draft. Josh Simmons, the tackle who could be your viral nightmare, or the steal of the century. A broken knee versus a first round? Come on, Ryan! Do you really trust doctors more than your own instinct? If you mess up here, Caleb Williams won't make it to October, and the fans will roast you online. And in the shadows, Ben Johnson, the brain promising to rewrite the offensive manual, but no one told you the fine print. What good is a tactical genius if the offensive line is a sieve and the receivers run like grandpas? System adapted to Caleb? Sure! But without protection, will they adapt the stretcher too? Attention, fans, this is not just another season. It's a time bomb with 3 red wires. Let's get to the point. What's going on with the Bears in free agency, people? I bring you pure fire from Chicago. I'm telling you, Bears management is moving pieces, but are they doing it right? Let's get to the point. First things first, Trey Smith, the Pro Bowl guard from the Chiefs, is on Ryan Poles' radar. Why? Because this man is a wall on the offensive line. Let's connect the dots. Poles comes from Kansas City. Darnell Wright played with Smith in Tennessee. It's a must to go after him. But pay attention. Do you think it will be easy? The Patriots have more money and holes to fill. Are the Bears ready to win a bidding war? Because, folks, if they don't open the wallet, New England will steal the prize. And here comes the big question. What if they miss out on Smith? Enter Will Hernandez, the plan B. 30 years old, 91 games of experience, but ACL tear in 2024. An upgrade over Matt Pryor? Yes. A long-term solution? Don't even dream about it. Hernandez would be a cheap patch, less than $5 million a year, but is it enough to protect Caleb Williams? I ask you. Ryan Poles, the ball is in your court. You have $64.90 million in CAP space. You can't afford half measures. If you don't bring in Smith, do you really want to bet on an injured veteran? Note, Hernandez is competent, but Chicago deserves elite, not useful. Here's my direct shot. Poles must go all in for Smith, even if it costs extra. Why? Because Darnell Wright and a Pro Bowl guard beside him would create the best duo on the right line in the NFC. And Hernandez? Only worth IT if Smith signs elsewhere. But, note, if Poles settles for safe, it will be a historic mistake. Now, let's get serious. Chicago's offense needs to protect IT's franchise, whether it's Williams or another QB. Is it worth it to have a guard who only played 5 games in 2024? Don't fear competition, Ryan. Beat New England's offer. And for you, fans, what do you prefer? Going for Trey Smith even if it costs $20 million a year, or risking it with Hernandez for less than $5 million? Are the Bears about to make a historic mistake in the 2025 draft? I'm telling you this, Chicago fans. The franchise has its eye on a prospect who could change the team's course or sink it into chaos. And I'm not exaggerating. Let's talk about Josh Simmons, the left tackle from Ohio State who has the organization divided. Why? Because this man is a time bomb. On one hand, he's an elite athlete, fast, explosive, with hands that block like clamps. I ask you, isn't that exactly what Caleb Williams needs to stay upright in the pocket? But, wait! Here comes the problem. Simmons arrived in Chicago carrying a bag of doubts, an ACL injury in Week 7 of the season and a technique that, according to Pro Football Focus, looks like it came from a video game in amateur mode. I'm telling you this. If Ryan Poles picks him at number 10, he's betting his future, and Ben Johnson's. And you know what worries me more? The obsession with taking risks. Yes, Simmons could be the next Joe Thomas, or the next Derek Flowers. Is it worth burning a first-round pick on a player who, according to medical reports, might not be ready for camp? I ask you directly, do you trust the Bears medical staff to handle this rehabilitation? Because I am not so sure. Now, listen to this. Armand Membu, the tackle from Missouri, is available. No serious injuries, with an 87% pass blocking effectiveness last season and a 100% NFL-ready profile. Why risk it with Simmons if Membu is the safe option? Does Ryan Poles want to play Russian roulette with Caleb Williams' future? Because that's how jobs are lost, folks. And don't come to me with high risk, high reward. We're in Chicago, not in Las Vegas. The last time the Bears took such a risk in the draft, we ended up with Kevin White. And look how that turned out. Simmons has a 74.4 PFF rating, but also a knee that could collapse like a house of cards. Do you really want to repeat the David Terrell tragedy? Here's my problem. Ben Johnson needs a competitive team now. Not in 2026, when Simmons might be healthy. Caleb Williams deserves a line that protects him, not an experiment. If they choose Simmons, they're saying, we trust a medical miracle more than proven talent. And you know what? Miracles don't exist in the NFL. So I ask you, what would you do? Take a risk with Simmons' potential, or go safe with Membu to build an offensive line that dominates the NFC North? Are you ready for what Ben Johnson just dropped about the offensive revolution in Chicago? I've got the detail that will make you tremble. What happened the last time an offensive coordinator came to Chicago with this same certainty? I'll tell you. It was when, let's not talk about the past. Because what's coming now with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams could change everything. The man has a clear message. This won't be what you saw in Detroit. This is personal. This is adapting to Caleb Williams. Did you hear that? Johnson isn't here to impose his system. He's here to build around the star. And you know what? I believe him. Because we saw what he did with Jared Goff, 2 divisional titles, an explosive offense. Can you imagine that with the raw talent of Williams? But wait, the uncomfortable question, did Chicago finish last in the NFC North in 2024 due to lack of talent, or because they didn't know how to use it? 3,552 passing yards with a rookie like Williams is an offense. Where was the creativity? Where were the adjustments? Now Johnson comes saying, we'll figure out what Caleb does well and that will be our base. I ask, why didn't they do this last year? Here's the detail that burns. Johnson admits that in Detroit, against the Bears, he was impressed by Williams. Translation? This kid isn't a project. He's the steel to forge a dynasty. But, family, what about the offensive front? What about the receivers? Note, Johnson might have the plan, but if Ryan Poles doesn't surround Caleb with protection and weapons, what good is the best scheme? And I throw this at you, if they truly adapt the system to Williams' strengths, his movement outside the pocket, his brutal arm for second and third reads, this offense will be unstoppable. But you know what else Johnson said? It won't necessarily be what you've seen me do. Translation? Get ready for surprises. For receivers, flex packages, Coach Johnson is here to break schemes. Now, my raw opinion, Caleb Williams has more talent than Goff. But the success of this plan depends on 2 things. 1, that management spends money on the offensive line and another top receiver. Now, 2, that Johnson doesn't fall into overconfidence. Because, family, isn't it risky to change the manual that gave you success in Detroit? The Bears are not the Lions. And the burning question, do you believe that Caleb Williams, in a system tailored for him, can lead the Bears to win the NFC North in 2025? Or is this another next season story? Are you ready to define the Bears' future? First, the financial crossroads. Do you prefer to shell out $20 million annually for a proven player like Trey Smith, or bet on the youth of Hernandez with a contract under $5 million? The decision could determine whether our offensive line is a strength or a weak point in 2025. Then, the strategic dilemma. Would you risk everything for the super-athletic Isaiah Simmons with all his doubts, or build an iron trench with the consistency of Matt Membu? Imagine an NFC North where Fields or Williams have all the time in the world. What do you choose, explosive potential or security? And the debate that breaks the flag, if Caleb Williams arrives. Do you think in a system 100% designed for him, he could end the dominance of the Lions and Packers? Or will it be another empty promise? We're not talking about playoffs, we're talking about domination. Comment right now, what combination gives you more faith and more fear for 2025? This isn't just a channel, it's the home of the most passionate Bears fans. Subscribe and join a family that lives every rumor, every signing, and every tackle like it's the Super Bowl. Let's make this season legendary together. See you in the comments, Legion.